There's some interesting news out today. Disney seems to be interested in buying Fox, and Fox seems to be interested in selling themselves, at least their entertainment section, to some company. And Disney's really interested in buying it. And this makes a lot of sense. Most articles that you'll find online are trying to hint that this is really good for the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they can actually own most of all of Marvel's property. I think basically all of them that really matter will finally become part of Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe. The main one that Fox is currently holding is X-Men, and Disney's been trying to do a whole lot of things to try. It seems they're trying to do a whole lot of things to see if they can get the rights to X-Men back. But buying Fox outright would be the best and easiest way to do that. And yeah, I see most articles are trying to suggest that this is the biggest thing about it. And I would say it kind of is because X-Men are very vital to the Marvel universe, especially if you grew up in the '90s and you watched, let's say, the cartoons, or if you read the comic books from the '80s to the '90s. The X-Men were vital, I would say, to the whole Marvel universe. Basically, the Marvel universe without the X-Men is a different thing than what it used to be, and I think most of it is based on the fact that the X-Men were had a lot of politically charged messages, which were they weren't on any side in particular, but they always made you think about what the world was like and all these other interesting concepts that and very complicated, very and they go really deep with them. And these concepts were really important, I feel, and they're really lacking in the current Marvel universe. I'm not sure if Disney's gonna put them in your face that way because I mean it's Disney, but even it's so like just having them and then having the comics revived again would be really interesting to see. Moving on, I think though the most important thing that most people aren't talking about is if they do buy Fox, at least if they buy the whole company of Fox, is that Disney will finally have all the rights to Star Wars. If you research Star Wars, you'll probably find out that Fox still owns some of the rights to the very first movie contractually, and they own it for all perpetuity, so they'll own it forever. And because of that, either Disney would need to buy those rights back. But if they buy the whole company, then they'll just have all the rights anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm hoping that this would happen just because of that, because like that would be interesting, because then they would have all the movies and they can do whatever. I'm not sure if Disney's the best people to hold the rights to that movie, but at the same time, they haven't done anything wrong with it compared to what LucasArts was doing. Anyways, but moving on, this is still really interesting news, basically because of those two things. But there's another concept as well. Like if they buy all of Fox, they also buy The Simpsons, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. Universal Studios right now has both a Marvel and a Simpsons section, and if Disney outright goes out and outright buys Fox, then that means the Universal Studios in Orlando, anyways, has two parts to their theme parks that are suspicious about their future. Mostly what's going to happen with the Marvel section. Apparently, I would say the Marvel section is gonna either be bought out by Disney, and by which I mean they'll pay Universal Orlando to change the park, and they'll give them some cash so that they can build some other section. And it makes sense because that park's stuck in the '90s. If you go there, and there's very little they can do to enhance that because they can't really touch the Marvel rights that exist after that certain period. So it's really hard what they can do. They can't really touch the movie rights. They can't touch a lot of stuff. They can only touch the cartoons or comics until a certain level, and it really shows if you go to the park's kind of outdated nowadays. But what would happen to the Disney park, the Disney and the Simpsons park? The Simpsons park would be kind of completely has to change in a sense, but they could keep it because they've had it for a while, so they can basically just keep it the same. But it'll also decay after a while because they can't do much, especially if the Simpsons become something else over time and they evolve. Then people are going to be familiar with the newer version of it, much how people are more familiar nowadays, I would say, with the newer version of Marvel. And if you go to the park, you see like an old comic book version of Marvel and stuff. It becomes kind of not as exciting as it used to be, and then people kind of don't want to see that anymore, or they get tired of it, and then before you know it, they're not really paying to go there anymore. So then the idea for the theme park will be that we have to change this, and then when they have to change it, then Disney will come in, maybe, and then try to change it. But knowing these companies, they'll try to save money, so they'll just try to wait until they feel like they're going to change it themselves, and then they try to get the rights entirely back, and then they use it for themselves. which is what I'm guessing is going to happen. Because if Disney was going to go pay Universal to change that park, they would have already done it. They're not doing it. They're just going to wait until they basically can't touch it anymore, and they want to change it themselves, and then they take it back, and then they make tons of money off of it. At the current moment, Disney World doesn't need Marvel in their parks. They don't care because they're making tons of money as it is. But Disney owning Fox, and I'm not saying they're gonna own news groups though, like News Corp or whatever the main company is, because then they're not gonna own Fox News necessarily. They're just gonna buy Fox 21st Century Fox, which gives them certain rights to some of the things that Disney does. I'm not sure if that gives them the rights to things like The Simpsons for sure. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not sure if they're buying the whole of Fox, but it does seem like if they do buy 21st Century Fox, they also get the rights to The Simpsons. Which, if that happens, that would be kind of intriguing. Which would go with what I want to see in the future. If I made a video recently, which is very divisive, and some people don't get it, and that's kind of my fault. I'm sorry about that, because like I know it sounds like I was too offended or something. That's not the case. The point is that I feel The Simpsons have become extremely lazy written nowadays, and there's just no effort whatsoever from anybody on the show anymore to try to at least make something decent. And I think they're also maybe following some formula where they write the episodes. Basically, the formula is being followed because Fox wants them to follow it, and I don't blame any of the writers or anything for that. I'm not sure, like I haven't been there, so I can't really blame them. But I'm guessing they're trying to follow some sort of formula that makes it not easy for them, but is geared to making the show get more viewers. But anyways, it seems to be failing because the show's losing viewers every year. And personally, I think the show is just become garbage. To be honest, like it's not been good for over 20 years, in my opinion, and it makes me sad because it used to be it's still my favorite show. You know, like I still own tons of Simpsons merchandise. Like I still love everything about the Simpsons. I used to watch it more often. I used to watch it every day. Nowadays, I don't watch it maybe once a week, especially if it's like if there's a new episode, I'll watch it. I guess, and I'll try to every once in a while I'll watch old episodes because that's what I like. But at the same time, I'm not as dedicated as it used to be, and that's gonna be bad for business overall. Because like I'm guessing more people are the same as me. We've outgrown it, and we're just leaving it behind. And slowly, I'm gonna start leaving it more and more as the episodes become shittier and shittier. Like there's just no way I'm gonna sit there and watch that. And my point is, if Disney does get the rights to this, it would be nice to see them try to at least change it in some ways, or at least reboot it so it's successful. And I don't mean like let's change it all, like change every aspect of it. I'm just saying like what I'm trying to say is like it's been on for 30 years. The people that both write the show and also do the voices can't do this forever. They're gonna get they're already getting a lot of them are already getting tired of it, and they want to quit. So I think it's the best time once we hit the 30th year, and once it ends, it's time to think about either rebooting the show or doing some sort of soft reboot where you don't actually reboot the show, but you continue it, but with everything being different. I mean, all the writers and voice cast being different, but they all seem similar. I mean, get voices that sound somewhat the same and just continue the show. Like, there's no need for the show to end at all. I think it's a bad idea to end The Simpsons completely. Because, like, if you end The Simpsons, then you're basically ending something that brings joy to everybody, and there's no need to end it because there's an endless supply of stories. Just look at South Park. It's been on for 20 years, like I said before. There's really no need to end The Simpsons. So this is good news for me because I'm hoping at least that something happens with that. Because I would be super happy if I get to see a new version of The Simpsons again. The Simpsons have changed constantly, but I would say within the last 20 years they've been pretty consistent in what they've been, and that's been kind of unfortunate. I think there was maybe, I mean, at least the last 15 years where the show's been kind of the same. Like you can turn on any episode within the last 15 years, and there's barely any difference, and that's kind of unfortunate because there was a time when The Simpsons were really good, and then that got changed, and it got changed for the worse. In my opinion, anyways. This is all my opinion, so like if you disagree and you love the show and the show, then definitely the show's for you. You should be like out there trying to keep the show alive if you want to. For me personally, being an old fan of the show and everything, I can't. I don't like this version of it, and I would prefer that it changes and it becomes something different, even if it's not. I don't mean like let's try to go back to the past and make the same old show because I don't think that's going to be possible necessarily. I would be fine if they make some new show out of it, the same way that they did when the show changed. Basically, just gradually change it to something else and make sure that to make humor slightly better. What I would like to see in regards is that they set up some sort of rules that they must follow. Basically, like the things like where they break physics and stuff, I would keep all that to a minimal. Like, don't make it part of the main storyline. Like, I don't want to see Homer pick up Bart and throw him across a football field real easily, kind of concept. Like, I would like to see normal physics. It's okay if you have like someone throw someone across the football field as long as it's not part of the main storyline. And what I mean by that is like it's not some character or it's part of a joke necessarily. Like maybe it's some very really strong football player and they're just trying to show it, and it's just some way to make a quick gag that's kind of funny. But if they make it like someone we've seen before on The Simpsons, like Ralph being thrown across a field, then that's not funny anymore. In my opinion, like it just ruins it ruins the idea of disbelief. Basically, you cannot you just looking at it and you're like, yeah, that can never happen, and it kind of sucks. If you're okay with that kind of humor on The Simpsons, that's fine. But I feel like The Simpsons were more of a sitcom based in real life and making fun of real life or being sarcastic about real life. In other words, it's not. Once you break those physics, it's like if I'm watching King of the Hill and all of a sudden it becomes like a cartoon in like the next season. It's kind of crazy. Like the same thing kind of I feel happened with The Simpsons. Yes, they did have weird gags, especially when Conan O'Brien was writing the show, where they would, tip over a desk and it would catch on fire and stuff like that. I'm aware of those things, but see, those things were not part of the main storyline, and they, you could probably maybe explain it in some ways. But I understand that it was trying to make a joke about how a car would be tipped over sometimes and it would explode. But again, it's an okay gag. There's a certain line that if you cross that line and you take it that a little bit further, it becomes way cartoony and it just ruins it. It's a style of humor basically. And if you just don't have it, don't do it. Like just don't try to do it because you're just gonna make the show a cartoon, and that's the main problem that I had with The Simpsons. I feel like they overdid these kinds of gags, and they did it with people that don't really understand them, and they made the show just a big cartoon. And it's fine again. Like if you like it, it's fine. But I personally do not. I would prefer to see something else. I would prefer to see The Simpsons return back to a more grounded kind of show. With the exception, again, with the Halloween episodes. The Halloween episodes used to be special, again, like I said, because the Halloween episodes were based on the idea that all rules can be broken. And nowadays, since the whole show can break rules whenever it wants, there's nothing special about the Halloween special anymore. And so I would like to see this return, and like with this concept where the original episodes are not, they don't have any special rules. Like they have to follow certain rules, but during the Halloween special, you don't have to. So allowing the writers to do whatever they want, whatever they can think about, that's really that would make it amazing. I'll be okay with that. And basically, I feel like if Disney does end up buying all of Fox, I hope they do something with that property because that's a really huge franchise, and it would be a shame if they just kill it off. Like it would be overall a shame to kill off the Simpsons overall, and I don't think it's ever gonna happen. But I think it is time that they start thinking about ending the show that exists now, and I don't mean ending the whole show and rebooting it again. Again, like I'm trying to say, like I'm gonna repeat myself here. I'm just hoping that they change all everyone working on the show because it's time for it to be refreshed basically. So we need to refresh the show. So call it Simpsons refresh, whatever. It's time to refresh them, and this is very important with shows that have gone on for so long. The ideas that were present are tired now, so it's okay to refresh them and bring some new ideas. And if that requires changing all the cast, it's fine. If it and I don't mean the voice actors only, I mean the writers and everything. It's fine. They've done it already so many times, anyways. And like I've said before, the voices have changed already so much since they started that I wouldn't feel bad if this happens again. Like I know for the people on the show would maybe be out of a job and stuff, and they would feel bad. But at the same time, it's hard to pity them or feel bad when most of them made millions of dollars already, and they're gonna continue to make millions of dollars on residue and whatever other payments or royalties that they're due. So that's not going to end anytime soon. They'll be fine, I think. But the show would either be canceled and they will get less money within soon, or it will be refreshed or rebooted or something, and then it will continue and they will continue to make more money. So there's no point to feel bad about it. I think it's time, basically, that these talks are in place. And I think they've already been in place, but this show needs to change. But the same thing goes with all of the other like Fox properties. I feel like a lot of them are still stuck in the past, with especially with the X-Men. It's time that we see a rebirth of the X-Men as well, or a refresh of that series, because a lot of the topics are very topical nowadays as well. And it would be really interesting to see the X-Men be brought back in full force and then added to the universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if they can, because that would be just spectacular in my opinion. And with Star Wars, I mean, Star Wars will continue, and it'll be just completely a Disney property. And in some sense, that kind of, I mean, it sucks to know that all your favorite properties are part of the same company, but at the same time, I mean, it's already, there's nothing we can do. Marvel is already owned by Disney, and Disney already owns Star Wars. So if they own more Fox, I don't feel like there's anything that Fox really has that's vital or very special that Disney, I mean, Disney doesn't have. If anything, I would like to see new properties be created by new companies, as opposed to seeing these old tired properties go on like this. So I'm hoping if this happens, and I do think it will happen eventually. Once these talks start, there's something about them. Like the same thing happened with Spider-Man and with Sony and with Spider-Man, and they were started these talks. They supposedly stalled, but they ended up continuing. They ended up being purchased. The only time I think this didn't happen like this was when I think Yahoo or somebody else was trying to buy Disney, or Disney and Yahoo or I can't remember, some company was trying to buy Disney one time and they just did not do it for some reason. And I think that's just because Disney didn't want that. And if it had that happen, it would have been a huge deal. And I believe Microsoft also tried to buy Yahoo, and then Yahoo refused, and that was their biggest mistake ever, I would feel, because they ended up becoming nothing. And I already saw the death of Yahoo once the last CEO got in charge. I already knew it because she set up she implemented some basically no one can work from home. So work from home jobs she canceled. I knew the second she did that she was trying to gain more power than she was, and she wasn't really trying to run the company much. So I felt already that I knew the company was going to get destroyed by her, and it kind of did. It's kind of unfortunate, but that's another topic. I'll talk about that later. But I just hope that doesn't happen with this, and I don't foresee it at all happening. Disney and Fox would be perfect if Disney were owned. I mean, if Fox owns Disney, and let's not forget Disney already bought some of Fox's properties before. The first instance that I saw um, Marvel property at Disney was because they bought Fox Family Channel and they turned it into ABC Family. But once they did that, they also bought some of the X-Men cartoons. So if you walked into a store, if you walked into a Disney store in the early 2000s, you would see a bunch of like X-Men toys and stuff, and it was so weird. You know, I couldn't believe when I first saw it, because like it was at a Disney store. They were selling Marvel merchandise, and then eventually, as we know, Disney bought Marvel in the late 2000s, and now we're where we are. So it's not. I don't think it's impossible. I think Disney would be able to buy Fox, and I think they're already working on that. And this is probably going to happen. It'll probably be really cool. I just really hope it does, anyways. It's hard to say with the future, but I do think it will happen. If it doesn't, I'll be surprised, but it might happen. It just will take years. I know Fox is huge, but Fox seems to be trying to sell themselves, so it will likely happen. It would be a shame if something like Universal were to buy Fox instead, or if some other company were to do it, like Facebook or something. That would just totally destroy Fox at its current moment, because its potential really lies with Disney, I feel, especially with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Star Wars. The potential really lies with Disney, so this does sound like a really good deal. I hope it happens, but we'll see anyways. If you guys think I'm crazy or anything, just let me know in the comments or something, because that's always interesting to read. I know it sounds like, if you look at my old comments, like I know it sounds like I'm being like I hate these comments, or I'm being, but it's not true. Like I'm just having fun with it. That's why I don't remove any of the comments. They're just below. It's been a blast. So whatever you guys think, whether you think I'm an idiot or anything, let me know in the comments. It's always fun. Anyways, guys, I'm signing out. Bye.